Think about the last time you woke up and felt genuinely rested. Not just not tired, actually rested. The way you imagine people used to feel, before everything became urgent, before the phone was the first thing and the last thing, before the day had a texture to it instead of just a weight. If you are struggling to remember, you are not alone, and you are not broken, and it is not your fault. There is a concept in evolutionary biology called mismatch. The idea is this: your brain and your body evolved specific responses to a specific kind of life. Over hundreds of thousands of years, those responses were calibrated with extraordinary precision to an environment with seasons, with darkness, with fire at night, with silence between sounds. And then, in roughly the last 30 years, almost all of those conditions quietly disappeared. Not violently, not all at once, just incrementally. One notification at a time, one later night, one earlier morning, one more thing demanding your attention before the previous thing was finished. The conditions changed faster than evolution could follow, and the gap between what your biology expects and what your morning actually delivers is the source of a tiredness that no amount of sleep seems to fix. Researchers call this gap evolutionary mismatch, and the evidence is accumulating that chronic stress in industrialized life may exceed anything our species has previously experienced. There is a moment that happens to most people, somewhere around 10 or 11 p.m. You are tired, you know you should sleep, and instead you pick up your phone. Not because there is anything specific you need to see, but because the day doesn't quite feel finished, and you scroll for another 30 minutes or an hour. And when you finally put it down, sleep doesn't come the way it should. And in the morning, the tiredness is still there, like something that wasn't fully cleared. This is not a discipline problem. It is a biology problem, and it starts with light. Your body runs on a circadian rhythm, tuned over millions of years to the movement of the sun. Cortisol rises before dawn to prepare you for the day. Melatonin rises at dusk to prepare you for sleep. Every organ in your body runs on this schedule, and the conductor of that orchestra is light. For the entirety of human history, the light that reached your eyes at night was firelight. Warm, orange, low, flickering at frequencies that did not suppress melatonin, did not tell your brain it was noon when it was midnight. Then we invented the blue light of screens and handed one to everyone, and suggested they hold it 6 inches from their face every evening. A 2023 review found that artificial blue light at night disrupts the hormonal signals your body uses to know what time it is, what it should be doing, and when it is safe to rest. Those signals are being overridden every night by something you are holding voluntarily, because nobody told you it was doing this, and because it was designed to be impossible to put down. But the clock is only part of it, because it is not just when we use our devices, it is what those devices are doing to us while we are using them. In 1938, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner made a discovery that nobody involved in building modern technology has since forgotten. He found that the most compulsive behavior, the kind that is hardest to extinguish, is produced not by consistent rewards, but by unpredictable ones. A reward that might come now, or in 30 seconds, or maybe not at all. The uncertainty is the mechanism. It keeps you engaged, far longer than any certain reward would. The slot machine runs on this principle. Pull the lever. Maybe you win. Maybe you don't. You pull again. Now look at your notification feed. You open it. Maybe there is something that matters. Maybe there isn't. Maybe someone responded. Maybe the news changed while you looked away. I want to be honest about something here. This is not a character flaw. It is not weakness. The teams that built these systems had studied Skinner. They knew exactly what they were engineering, and they deployed it at a scale Skinner never imagined possible. Our ancestors had variable rewards too. The hunt might succeed or fail, but those cycles played out over hours and days, in daylight, in the company of people they had known their whole lives, embedded in physical effort, in a body that moved. The smartphone compresses those cycles to seconds, removes the effort, removes the daylight, removes the other people, and fires the same ancient circuitry in a chair, alone, at midnight. This is the emotional center. Slow down further here. Every line its own breath. I want to tell you about something that I couldn't stop thinking about after I found it. In 2014, an anthropologist named Polly Wiessner published a paper in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. She had spent 40 years studying the Jew/Hoansi Bushmen of southern Africa, and she recorded something simple: 174 conversations, some during the day, some around the fire at night. And she found that they were almost completely different. During the day, the conversations were practical: food, logistics, who had done what to whom, the management of staying alive. But around the fire at night, the talk shifted to stories, to the lives of people in distant places, to imagination, to the kind of talk that healed the small conflicts of the day and reminded everyone why they trusted each other. She found that across 60 hunter-gatherer societies, firelit nights were filled with songs, dances, ceremonies, stories that sometimes went on for 4 days, with the fire blazing 6 or 7 feet high. 4 days of stories, around a fire, in the dark, with no agenda other than to be human together. The Tlingit elders of the Pacific Northwest understood something we have forgotten, that the night belonged to a different kind of intelligence. Not the intelligence of getting things done, but the intelligence of understanding each other, of rehearsing what it means to be alive, of preparing the mind for sleep and for the next day's difficulty. Wiessner called this the firelit social world, and she argued it was as essential to human survival as hunting, because a community that cannot repair its rifts cannot hold together, and a community that cannot hold together does not survive. And then she wrote something that I think about more than anything else in this research. She wrote, "Artificial light turned potential social time into potential work time. When you are able to work at night, you suddenly have a conflict. I have only 15 minutes to tell my kids a bedtime story. I don't have time to sit around and talk. What happens to social relations? What happens to social relations?" That question, asked in 2014, has been answered in the loneliness data of 2025. We replaced the campfire with a screen. We replaced the 4-day story with a 15-minute episode. We replaced the songs and the ceremonies with a notification feed that runs on the same slot machine logic we just finished talking about. And then we wondered why. Nothing feels like enough. Somewhere right now, there is a person who is doing everything right. They go to bed at a reasonable hour. They exercise. They eat well. They have a job they don't hate. And they are exhausted. A quiet, persistent exhaustion that has no specific cause. An anxiety that rises without a clear source. A difficulty concentrating that they blame on themselves. A feeling of flatness that they have started to assume is just who they are now. They have seen a doctor. The bloods are fine. They have tried sleeping earlier. It helps a little. Not enough. What they don't know, what nobody has told them, is that their body is carrying a bill that has been accumulating quietly for years. Bruce McEwen spent his career at Rockefeller University studying what happens to the body when the stress system never fully rests. He called it allostatic load, the wear and tear that accumulates, not from a single crisis, but from the low-grade, never-ending stream of demands that modern life runs on. In the short term, stress is adaptive. Cortisol rises, the body mobilizes, the threat is met, the system resets. That is how it was designed to work. But when the stress is chronic, low-grade, and never quite finished, when the cortisol never fully drops, the body starts paying a price. In the cardiovascular system, in the immune system, in the hippocampus, where chronic stress physically reduces the density of neural connections. Not dramatically, not all at once. Quietly, incrementally, the same way the conditions changed. The person I described is not weak. They are not failing. They are carrying the accumulated cost of living in an environment their biology was never designed for. Running the productivity of the day into the recovery time of the night. Replacing the campfire with a screen, the story with a scroll, the silence with a notification. year after year, until the exhaustion has no name and no beginning, and feels like just how things are. You are not burned out. You are jet-lagged, evolutionarily jet-lagged, displaced not across time zones, but across time itself. 300,000 years of biological expectation, meeting 30 years of a world it was never designed for. The campfire is not a metaphor. It is a biological requirement that your evening is missing. Not the fire itself, but what the fire was. A boundary between the day and the night, between the productive and the restorative, between the urgent and the human. You get to draw that boundary. It does not have to be dramatic. It does not have to be a retreat, or a digital detox, or a lifestyle overhaul. It can be as small as a conversation that goes nowhere useful, a story told without a point, a light that is warm instead of blue, a notification that waits until morning. Not because it is romantic, because your nervous system has been waiting for the signal that the day is over since before you were born. And the signal is simple: darkness, warmth, story, silence. The campfire, in whatever form you can build it, is not optional. It is the oldest medicine your species ever had.